Hello, everyone. My name is Garrett. You're here with me on this podcast, the Maiden Voyage, the pilot episode, as some would call it. I'm joined by the two voices in my head. They're not real. They're created by my tenuous grasp on reality. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Ian, everyone's favorite Minecraft song maker. That is a lie. I am not that successful.
And I'm John, business mogul, Oxford graduate, and chronic liar.
There we go. Anyways, we are here with what is now dubbed the Smart Boys Variety Hour. We cannot change it. Once something goes on the internet, it's there forever to stay. Uh, we will be discussing all facets of I don't want to say nerdy things because I sound like a loser when I say that, but
You are.
anything in that wheelhouse. We'll be discussing your favorite movies, your favorite TV shows, your favorite games. Maybe we'll talk about some books. Maybe we'll talk about something that real losers do, like tabletops. Maybe we'll even talk about maybe we'll even go into Tips and Tricks magazine.
We're gonna be like a 2011 hot topic,
Exactly.
but in like audio form. Haha, lol, random.
That's gonna be the thumbnail of this first episode. Now I'm gonna put Harley Quinn in it. Put Harley Quinn in the title for views. Anyways, we will be discussing. It's gonna be up in the air for a bit how the format of the show is going, but I'm sure the three people that are watching this will give us great feedback. Anyways,
They've already clicked off. They fucked off.
here we go. Here we go. This is our subpar intro, and now we'll just jump right into it, as people who are copying Philip DeFranco would say. So I'll go first. In the news, I feel like there's already some other podcast that has a segment called In the News, but we don't listen
See
to
our
other
our
podcasts.
but it's spelled differently for us. It's Noose.
Oh god.
News.
In the news. Anyways, so
News.
well, I feel like it just feels really sudden to just jump right into this news. I feel like people watch this, they're like, wow, what an intro, and then suddenly we're like, hey, do you want to hear about some here's the news. Here's the news. We don't have a segment. How are you guys? What's up? What's up with you guys? We'll start a bit soft.
Well, I mean, what happens in life right now? Well, of course we jump in the news. What else is happening? Quarantine?
Yeah.
We're all stuck inside.
What's up? You haven't done anything? You just sat inside all day?
Kind of. Just playing video games, honestly.
There you go.
Longboarding a bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Working immense overtime at work. So that's fuck all I've done. I play
Yeah.
Mario
So
Kart.
the moral of the story is that two out of three of us are immensely overworked, and we're adding something more onto our already dilapidated mental states. So this may be the death of us.
And then one of us
and then
lost
Ian,
it years ago.
and then Ian is going to be doing this podcast all by himself. He's gonna have three mic streams, and he's gonna have to switch between them.
It's three different characters.
You just
Wow, it's wild Wendy.
You know what's sad? It's sad, Garrett, that you can't even like keep the voices in your head tamed and on track with.
the
what
doctor
needs to
said I
happen.
didn't need to.
That's because you died a long time ago, and we're your eternal punishment.
Anyways, so I think that was a good jumping point for what I wanted to talk about. So we brought up the quarantine and the COVID-19 situation, and of course we're not going to talk about the important parts of that because I don't have the mental capacity to understand what's going on out there. But we will talk about its effect on the things that actually matter to me, like for example, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X in later. But right now, it looks like Sony's being affected more by what's going on than Microsoft is, because they are saying this article is from it's a bit earlier. It's from April 16th from Bloomberg. However, it said that the Tokyo-based spec giant is limiting its initial production run in part because it expects the PS5's ambitious specs to weigh on demand by leading to a high price at launch. As I don't know if you two know, but it is said that there's some leaks out that the PS4 is going to have a $499 to $549 price point.
PS5.
Did I say the PS4?
You did.
This is a good start already. The pandemic has affected Sony's promotional plans for the new device, but not its production capacity. The company has told assembly partners it would make 5 to 6 million units of the PS5 in the fiscal year ending March 2021, according to other people involved in the machine supply chain. When Sony released the PlayStation 4 in November 2013, it sold 7.5 million units in its first 2 quarters. So
I'm confused how their marketing is and like how that's being affected if they have the production quantity.
I think I was gonna go into this later, but I think that they know that people are not going to want to spend because combine the lack of fiscal means that a lot of people have in this situation now with the higher price point of the PS5, and you get a situation where I think they're correct in this, where people are not going to want to go out and buy a PS5, especially looking back at the PS4's first even year where nothing that important came out for it. So really, why would you not just stick with your PS4? Or if you don't have a PS4, why not? You can go buy a PS4 for what I assume is going to be much cheaper when the PS5 comes out.
And additionally, you have the fact that everyone's not going to have money by that time because we're all suffering through a quarantine right now.
That's what I mean, exactly. No one, because we don't know how this is. It looks like it's kind of settled a bit, but because this is releasing, they say holiday 2020. We don't know what what any environment is going to look like, but specifically for this situation, what the economic environment is going to look like. So people, we could be eating beans out of a tin by holiday 2020. We could be sitting at Christmas dinner, and all we have is the stuffing in a can for everyone. We have one serving of stuffing in a can for everyone.
with
both consoles, shit, that's $1.99.
She's got a point there. With both consoles, we're gonna have a bit of an issue with consoles in general are sold at a loss. But while Xbox is working on a lot of extra things around it, the ability to be to replace an entire media setup, because it can also be used as a receiver, so you can get rid of your old cable box and not have to deal with that anymore. They've been focusing on things like that, focusing on building servers, which focusing on crossplay between both itself and Windows 10. So it's getting a lot of its money in the services, where PlayStation gets a lot of its money in the games and the large exclusives. So both of them are going to be both sold at a loss, and probably aren't going to sell that well, considering not much launch stuff to do with them. They're both kind of being marketed as not graphically more intensive, but faster load times for both of them. Although PlayStation 5 is kind of digging itself into a hole with saying that it's going to be more powerful than any PC out there. Which is wrong, because I have the specs for both of them up. And first of all, they're pretty much the exact same specs. And second of all, that's a foolish statement. That is not a statement to say.
I actually want to, before you go into that, I would like to, you mentioned the Xbox One's release, and I actually have, so the
Series X.
The Series X, I'm stuck in the last generation. I'm stuck in 2013. My mind will not leave high school. Where my excitement for the One and the PS4 knew no bounds, because I didn't buy any of them until the next gen was coming out. So it looks like this is from The Verge, May 1st. Microsoft's Xbox chief Phil Spencer says the company's next gen Series X console is still on schedule for later this year, like PS5, but as opposed to PS5's console production looking like it's going to undersell, I guess you could say, they're more worried about the game production side. In an interview with CNBC, Spencer notes that there could be some impact to Xbox Series X schedule, but that the teams are doing a very good job with keeping our hardware on track, and overall we're in line with where we thought we would be. Microsoft hasn't provided an exact release date for the Xbox Series X beyond holiday 2020. Several sites say Thanksgiving 2020, but Microsoft said this was inaccurate. With hardware still on track, things are less clear on the game front. Microsoft only has officially committed to launching Halo Infinite alongside the Xbox Series X, but even this title and other first-party games won't be exclusive to the new Xbox. So this is something that I think is also going to hurt PlayStation, where Sony is saying, I don't have any sources for this right now, but from what I've been hearing, Sony is saying that they're not going to be releasing like last gen, where, for example, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag was released both on the 4 and the 3. There was many games that were released on both console generations, because they would not let the is that the 7th console generation? Are we in the 8th or the 7th?
I don't know. There's too many.
Anyways, they would not let the previous generation die for about a year. That is not happening this time with Sony, which I think is actually going to be a detriment to them because Xbox is releasing them on both generations, and I think that is going to be in Xbox's favor mightily.
Yeah. That's the point of the Series X, is that it's not another edition of consoles which is going to get a whole ton of exclusives. It's again just it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing that they've been kind of connecting all their consoles together. It's because they're focusing on a lower income market, because the higher income market is just people who are going to be building PCs. So the lower income market, being able to sell an Xbox One S for under $200 up to the Series X, which can replace an entire media setup. That way, that can be your cable router, that can be your games console, that could be everything together with its higher power, the higher frames. It's still going to be taking on launch every game that the Xbox One can, including all the currently backwards compatible 360 and Xbox original titles.
Yeah, that's through their smart delivery system, I think is what they're calling it. I don't think they have a fancy title for it yet, but yeah.
No, but they focus very hard on software and compatibility and third-party things.
Which they didn't do like for the original 360 or the
no no, that was before.
Later.
It's always a fight between the two of like who's gonna be better this generation, but half the time it's the same technology. One of them just does a specific blunder. Like look at the PS3 and the Xbox 360. The PS3 was so bad that the 360 outsold it, but the 360 was a console best known for having a heart attack and dying. So.
I will say that. Sorry, did I interrupt you?
I would just say I would know. I'm pretty sure I had about 3 or 4 360s just die.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure
that's
the first
classic
360
story.
I played. The first 360 I ever played was your brother's 360, and he had no case on it because it would overheat.
No, that was a different reason. There was something that went like the tray got unaligned, so he had to break open into it, get a special screwdriver, and like fix it, and then he just never put the case on. So yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting.
I will say that. Oh my God, what was I gonna say? About the I think initially, without the context of what is happening in the world, I think PlayStation's and Sony's idea of letting the last generation die immediately and putting exclusives that are only on the PS5 is a good strategy, because I think that without the pressure that people are feeling because of the quarantine, the loss of employment and whatnot, I think it would put a bit of pressure on them to buy the PS5 and be like, I can play Watch Dogs Legion on my PS5. I need a new console. But I think, and this isn't Sony's fault because they couldn't have seen this coming. But I think that this whole pandemic that's happening kind of fucked Sony a bit, because now Xbox is coming on top. Basically, I assume they didn't plan for this, but Microsoft has now been like, yeah, don't worry, we're releasing games that you can still play, that you don't have to pay for completely new hardware on. And Sony now has to backtrack, and that you're already, like you said, you're already selling consoles at a loss. Hardware's always sold at a loss for that part, but Sony's just they're fucked. That's how it is.
Xbox, you can see Xbox has had to really build that up, playing the underdog, because the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2 are massive consoles that broke records for what they could do. So Xbox has had to be like, man, we really got to make things everything ran it perfect. But I've got the specs up here for the Series X and the PlayStation 5. So in terms of CPU, they're both going to be running an 8-core CPU at Xbox 3.8 gigahertz and the PlayStation 3.5 gigahertz. Both so pretty same, honestly, when it comes down to it with what the games can do. The GPU and the graphics are going to be a bit different. Xbox has a slight advantage at that with 12 teraflops compared to 10.28 teraflops. But again, when it comes down to these games, you're not probably going to see any of that difference. For RAM, both of them are running 16 gigs of RAM. Although it looks like Xbox's is going to be, the first 10 gigs are going to be a lot faster, with the last 6 So now with most games aren't going to be running more than 8 at a time. So, and then PlayStation is saying that it's going to have a constant 448 compared to Xbox's first 10 being 560 gigabytes a second, and then the last 6 being 336 gigabytes a second. So pretty similar in memory as well. Both having a 4K UHD Blu-ray drive, just literally the same thing. Internal storage, they're going to be launching the Xbox with 1 terabyte SSD. The PlayStation, on the other hand, is going to have 825 gigabyte SSD. So you've got 175 gigabytes less, which, when everything is kind of standard for a 1 terabyte, that's a really weird number to go with. I'm not sure why they went with that. Both of them, here's something that kind of came up in the news and was very confusing at first, and that was expandable storage. So the Xbox One is going to have expandable, or Xbox Series X is going to have expandable storage units, very similar to like a GameCube memory card, but it's an SSD. Now people were asking, does this mean it won't take normal SSDs? That was clarified. It will take any normal SSD through a USB, like you've done before, if you have a USB for all your games. I'm not sure if it was confirmed or not with PlayStation, but the PlayStation, I believe, is going to be using a more standardized SSD slot, so it can, again, take third-party SSDs, which, again, is going to be a bit cheaper than an Xbox-made SSD. But from what I know, both of them are still going to be able to take USB SSDs that someone might have. Just any like WD or Seagate you already have your games on, that's fine. So both consoles are going to be very much the same hardware, with some things more on the Xbox, but then once it gets to the game developers, they're going to set all their games out at the same power. There's not many there's not really any games that are going to be too exclusive to either one. All the big games out there are starting to really realize that they can just be on both consoles and just double their sales rather than get a bit of a bonus for being exclusive. So it's all kind of
I really think that the only series that, I mean, not series, but we'll say series for now, that are going to be exclusive are probably, I'm sure Halo is never going to
they'll never
leave Xbox. Although I have a bit of contention with that, where I don't know, I honestly can see that Xbox seemed very relaxed about cross-platform play, even when it comes to PlayStation, because for something like Fortnite, Sony is winning that. There's so many more. If I recall, there's a lot more PlayStation players than Xbox players on Fortnite. I think PC may win out, but don't cite me on that because I could be wrong.
Just don't.
Just don't. But obviously, so Sony's being famously stingy on wanting to integrate cross-platform play into their games, for a good reason, or not good reason, but for understandable reason. Because if you're on the top and you have the most people playing on your console, you don't want to say, oh yeah, we'll give up some of our players so other people may go on PC or Xbox and play with people on our console. And now, so they look like assholes, but Microsoft, who's the underdog, because Microsoft always seems to come out as the underdog in these things, gets to say,
one of the biggest companies in the world is the underdog.
Yes, exactly. They go up to PlayStation and go, oh, please, just a crumb, just a little crumb, please cooperate with us. And they look like, everyone's kind of like, oh, PlayStation, why are you being such a stingy bitch? Like, just let them be. So I think I agree, though. I think Sony needs to I don't want to say get their heads out of their ass, but I think they need to think more about cross-platform play, because I think it could really.
The reason they're not doing that is because while Xbox this entire time has been putting money into servers, into third party, into into remotes that can be configured to fit any type of disability, things like that, all these quality of life upgrades, PlayStation has spent a lot of money on exclusives. When you've got hundreds of millions of dollars making sure that Destiny has 2 extra guns and a strike on the PlayStation when it first came out. So they've been pushing all this money into exclusives, and if it becomes in the future that there's not going to be exclusives, then they've wasted all that money and that fan base, when the competition has continued to upgrade their actual physical hardware, servers. Don't forget, even back when we were in grade school, it like started the whole PlayStation servers just getting hacked, and we've seen that over the last like 10 years. The PlayStation servers continuously getting like DDoSed. You had that when the interview was going to be in theaters, all the Sony servers, including PlayStation's, got DDoS. And at the time, PlayStation was like, well, maybe you can choose like 2 old free games at the same time as Xbox every month being like, here's 2 more free games to people. So everyone was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then they incorporated that into PlayStation
Plus.
into the PlayStation Plus.
I was going to say, I think PlayStation realized that it is a very good idea to have a Game Pass like system on their consoles, because I'll be honest, I got a 3-month trial for Game Pass for Christmas one day for my sister, and Christmas one day, you know, all the Christmases that happen in the year. I got a 3-month Game Pass trial, and then I used it. I put it in right away. And I thought, I actually really like this, because you find games, and it's great because you can be in the middle of a game, or maybe you play a game and you forget about it, and then you go and launch it, and it's like, no, you need it's not on Game Pass anymore, and you think, oh shit, I really liked this game though, maybe I'll go buy it, and it's a really good sort of carrot on a stick scenario, and when they give you good games.
Live.
Yeah, when they give you good games, I mean, because sometimes you see, especially on PlayStation, PlayStation has their it's not as expansive as Xbox's Game Pass, where Game Pass has so many fucking games on it. I think PlayStation releases a couple new every month. I don't think it replaced. I'm not up and up on that. I don't know if they switch out, but sometimes you'll have things like, wow, we released Journey and a fucking what's like an indie game no one gives a shit about on Plus, and then you're like, wow, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to play.
Yeah, well, with the PlayStation, so one of the big differences too is just the companies being American, one being Japanese. Sony tends to have obviously more anime games on that.
I was going to say,
Xbox has a heavy amount of indie games, some being bad, some being good, but just a big push on there. And so the reason for Game Pass is, again, lower income markets. That's why they released the Xbox Digital without a disc tray, because it's just, hey, buy this Xbox. It's less than 200. By the way, we're in a country where that dollar is not American dollar, so just take
we
that
live in Canada.
Account.
Yeah, I'm saying that for the rest of the podcast. Now, if we talk about dollars, it's going to be in Canadian dollars.
Yeah. So
our fake monopoly Canadian dollars.
So an Xbox that can play certain games enhanced at 4K, being less than $200, and for $60 a year, that's less than an Amazon Prime subscription, you can get both Xbox Live and, I believe I'm right with that number, 60 a year, and you can get the Game Pass, which comes with not just older games that are indies and being added free, but all the current exclusives. So you've got all the Forza racing games, you've got Halo, you've got Gears of War, you've got great games on there. So for America, for people in a lower income bracket that you're seeing in massive parts of America and places where you may not necessarily, not everyone lives in New York and San Francisco where they have lots of money. So that was the big push by them. Sony sells more overseas, so not just in the American market, which I think it still tends to beat out Xbox, but Xbox doesn't fucking sell well in Europe or Asia at all. So they know that they have to they have to play catch up on that. Where Sony, even though Sony is a bit newer to a lot of markets, Sony tries to get into a lot of markets. Without revealing anything, I work with cameras, and if you know anything about Sony cameras, they jumped on that shit, and there's still problems to this day. And they really needed to step their game up at the time with that. So they're trying to jump into a lot of things. They're trying to balance an entire company's resources between so many different companies. And one of the problems with cameras right now is that a lot of the sensors were being built in China at the time. So that's lowering their problem with that. So if they already have these factories in China, that's also affecting PlayStation's ability to build right now for this upcoming holiday market. Because anything being closed down and that is being affected now. The Xbox also has some overseas facilities in China and other countries, but while being an American-based company, they're still, I think most of their individual studios and whatnot and teams are at least away from where the Fallout was originally and had time to plan for this. But we'll see what happens come the holiday season.
Okay, I'm going to say we'll crack on a bit from this subject, but before we move on, does anyone have any more opinions to share? Because me and Ian seem to be taking up. I don't know if John doesn't.
My section is kind of it leads into both of what a lot of you.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll crack on for my last point and then we'll move on. Because I was my working hypothesis there was that this is not your area of interest that you give any sort of a shit about on the hardware side. Anyway, so we have one more hardware.
Jean-Luc, the PC guy.
Exactly. We have one more hardware where. So one more hardware. Do I know what I'm talking about? Wow. It's two more, but I'll combine. We'll be quick. So people were talking about. I don't remember if you remember when the Wii is a bit before our time. Not in terms of we weren't born yet, but we weren't really aware of. We were cognizant of what was
8 years old.
Yeah, we weren't cognizant of what was happening in the world. So people are making. How many times can someone make a count of how many times I say so in this?
I don't know.
Take a shot every time I say so. People have been making comparisons. People have been making comparisons to the Wii and the NES Classic is a recent one that you two will remember, where and this is pertaining to PlayStation and Sony's underproducing the PS5, where the shelves would be stocked. And with the Wii and the NES Classic, and then immediately they would just be grabbed specifically by scalpers. And I'm curious if in this environment, if I have a feeling scalpers are going to be running rampant with this and grabbing up all the PS5s they can, but I'm curious if anyone's actually going to take the bait on that, because I have a feeling scalpers are going to be a bit shit out of luck here.
Yeah, I don't think, even though the PS5 is saying that they're going to underdeliver a bit with the amount of consoles they're making, they're still not going to be Nintendo levels of, hey, we made this thing that we know everyone's going to love. We made like 5 of them. All of you better fight over it.
It's
like the fucking Switch right now.
Do you mean like anything? It's anything they release. They do that with Amiibos as well.
Amiibo, Switch, NES Classic.
I think you can make an argument for the Amiibos. It's kind of a like a playing card mentality where it's a rarity. But maybe, but because I don't think you understand. You probably do, but Amiibos are massively popular to collect, which I'm sure you both know. But
I know.
My next point is let's see. Wow. This is all just trash that we don't need to talk about. We just trash. It's the PS5 controller, the DualSense, as the upper echelon is calling it now. So this is going to be a very fancy new controller, according to some news that has come out. So where is what I'm reading? I don't know how to read things. So fancy. Yeah, it's very fancy. So fancy I can't remember what's happening on it. On the DualShock 4, which is the PS4 controller, you can feel rumbles when you perform actions in games, which has been around since I would say the 90s. Like no, N64 had the rumble pack. It's been around for ages. So the DualSense will instead incorporate haptic feedback, much like you'd find in a phone screen. No, it's not quite clear exactly how fine these sensations will be, but Nishino, who is this is an article from Tom's Guide, which don't worry about the validity of that website. I'm quite sure it's actually a decently aware electronics website. It just sounds like something I would find. Sounds like some sort of electronic magazine I would find on a rack in a grocery store. And I think Nishino is the one that they were speaking to. Nishino promises a variety of powerful sensations, such as the slow grittiness of driving a car through mud. So it sounds like it's going to be it's the next step in rumble technology, where you're not only going to feel rumbles, you're going to feel just very strange sensations on your hand.
It's going to massage your fingers.
It's going to, yes.
I have to ask, who the fuck cares?
Yeah. Anyone
that decides that that PS5 or like PlayStation it's any of the PlayStation lovers who constantly going about how prestige PlayStation is. They want to be immersed. It's immersion. Immersion is
the
key.
same people. It's the same people who still pretend the Xbox One didn't get rid of the DRM issues and all the issues that were complained about upon like announcement. They're like, oh, Xbox did this stuff. It didn't though. It fixed it immediately when everyone said that was shit, and the Xbox One got quickly better.
When I play The Last of Us 2, I wanna be able to I want to be able to demolish a clicker's head on a shelf corner and feel the ooze come onto my hands through the controller.
No, if we're if we're talking about Rumble, for some reason, everyone I know turns off their vibrations.
I hate Rumble, and
I'm the only one who just keeps it on.
No, so you're a psychopath. I hate Rumble.
What do you mean? I need to feel things.
Do you know how? See, you're the person that this was made for.
No, it wasn't. I just want some type of slight vibration.
I like because I'm shooting guns and I'm driving. I don't.
You didn't even.
I hate it. It distracts me immensely. I feel like
racing games, which I need it for. And secondly, in Sea of Thieves, you couldn't put the wheel straight because you didn't realize that there was a vibration with the middle peg.
No, I absolutely put the wheel straight. And also the vibration was on. I just played with a $40 Xbox 360 knockoff because controllers are ridiculously expensive.
Very true.
Fun fact, the DualSense is going to be, it looks like, I don't think I wrote the price down because I don't have that much forward thinking, but if I recall, it was $60 Canadian for the DualSense to be bought. Not only because of the haptic feedback, but because the L2 and R2 buttons will also get reworking in the form of what they're calling adaptive triggers. These will be able to adjust tension based on what you're doing in-game, such as knocking an arrow into a bow. How much of this will be physical design and how much will be haptic feedback remains to be seen. I'm hearing things about springs in the triggers, which could feel nice, but I don't know if it's nice enough that I want to pay $60 for another controller, because it comes with one controller.
See, but the thing is, the Xbox controller, the current controller right now, from Microsoft's own site is already $64.99. So that's not a bad deal for if they're updating.
Here, let me, you guys talk, and then because I think I am not done, but hold on.
You have willed it.
PS4
you're not
control. I have willed it. It is my will. Do I know how to type +4 controller? Oh, PS4 controller looks like Best Buy Canada, $80. Why?
Okay, that's a bit.
That can't. Okay, that I don't know what's happening there.
It's got to be 60 American then.
It has. I don't know. Maybe yeah. I'm sure the source I used was incorrect. So we're gonna move on from games now because
no, we're not.
John seems to not care at all about the hardware portion of it.
I care about other things about.
He cares about games. He just doesn't care about. He just wants someone to give him hardware and then he'll play.
Yeah, exactly.
He could spend hours on the Steam store, but he will. You were genuinely looking at Alienware computers before for a new computer. You're just like, oh, this looks nice.
Yeah, I've had a computer for like a year.
If you said that in an electronics forum, you'd probably get banned.
Yeah,
I'd have 1,000 comments.
You'd have millions of hate messages. Anyways, so as this COVID situation pertains to film and TV, I
had a whole thing about video games. I don't want to move on to TV and shows yet.
We'll come video games. No. But this is my point. We're going back to your point later.
Okay.
You guys get your turn. This is like a sharing circle. It's
so
still my turn. I have the stick.
You have the point.
We're not moving on. Don't worry. We're not going in a hardware video game. That's all we're talking about in this podcast. This is now a hardware, software, and TV and movies podcast. We don't talk about anything else. And most of it is going to be 30 minutes of each podcast, because we're 35 minutes in, is going to be talking about video game hardware. That's it. Yeah. So as this pertains to film and movies, as you two know, I'm sure you're very aware that movies and TV. I've mostly been hearing about movies being delayed because of this. Yeah. So here's a great list of some. I'm not reading you movies that I don't know or don't care about. But so we got A Quiet Place 2 has moved from March 8th, 2020 to September 4th. I'm gonna say Artemis Fowl just because we all have a fondness for that. That's been being moved from May 29th. All I heard was when I said that. All I heard was in the background. Oh, this just the strangest noise in the background.
You've yet to name a movie I give a shit
Artemis
about.
Fowl, May 29th, 2020 to June. It was then moved to June 12th, 2020, and will premiere on Disney Plus instead of theaters, which is the way to go with that movie. We have Black Widow, which was moved from May 11th to November 6th, 2020. The Batman, which is June 25th, 2021 to October 1st, 2021.
Yeah,
we have Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness, moved from May 7th, 2021 to March 25th, 2022. The Eternals, from November 6th, 2020 to February 12th, 2021. Marvel seems to really be hitting, and I have a theory for that, and I'll say that after this, but Fast 9, which is now just called F9, by the way. I'd like to point that out. That's been moved from May 22nd to April 20th. May 22nd, 2020. That would have come out very soon. That's unfortunate.
It already come out.
April 20. No, it wouldn't. It's May 17th.
I thought you said May 2nd.
No, I said May 22nd. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
To April 2nd, 2021. We just got a bunch. We got the new Ghostbusters, Jungle Cruise, which I saw something about on Reddit. Mission Impossible 7 was July 23rd, 2021 to November 19th, 2021. And then Mission Impossible 8 was August 5th, 2022 to November 4th, 2022.
Oh, wait, they announced two at the same time?
Did you not know that?
No.
Yeah, they said we're doing the next two. And Tom Cruise is going to be 70 by the time they come out, probably.
Oh, my God.
We got everyone's favorite Jared Leto movie, Morbius, moved from July 30th to 2020 to March 19th, 2021. That's I'm going to end with this because I'll do No Time to Die. So the next Bond from April 10th to November 25th, 2020. And then the ending for this is New Mutants, moved from April 3rd. This is the fourth release date it's had, I'm pretty sure, to a date to be determined. Because I don't know if you're aware. Do you know when the first trailer for this movie came out?
Wasn't that like 4 years ago?
2018. That's absolutely mad. This movie is never coming out. I saw someone on Reddit say that this movie is going to be the greatest unintentional period piece ever because it's going to come out in 2030, but it was filmed in 2015. It's going to be the strangest time capsule in the world. But so this is just, and then there's a bunch of other shit. There's Venom 2, which is apparently now called Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Indiana Jones, Spider-Man Far From Home sequel, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sequel, which is unfortunate. Top Gun Maverick, Thor: Love and Thunder, all that stuff. But so we have, I think I read Dune somewhere was delayed as well, which is unfortunate. But I'm curious how the recent delays are going to affect these movies. I had specifically in mind Dune, because I don't know if you're aware, but Dune is, I'm sure you both know what Dune is, like the book.
Yes.
So I had one answer there. Can I have another answer from the class, please? You guys didn't sound loud enough.
I have no idea what Dune is.
So Dune is a sci-fi book from the 60s, if I recall. It's a whole series now. It's very popular in certain circles.
There was
a very poorly received movie from the 80s or the 90s.
80s.
Yeah,
it can't be 90s.
You're right. It was directed by David Lynch, who was not the correct director to pick for that. And it's a very well received book. That movie was panned immensely, but they're coming out with a remake of it, directed by Denis Villeneuve, who directed Blade Runner 2049, among other things. Sicario is one of his. He's a very he's Quebecois. He's I want to say prolific because I do like him a lot. He's a very good director. So he's set to make, and by set to make this, I mean he's already made it. And there's a bunch of big name actors in it who's none of them I remember. Oscar Isaac's in it. So Dune's funny because it's very large. It has a very large budget. However, I don't know if it doesn't have the like the brand awareness, like the, what's the term they use in marketing? The
IP?
No. Like I can't remember the term, but it's basically
Wow factor.
No, Dune has wow factor. Don't worry, Dune has a lot of wow factor. The one of the main cruxes of the book is a drug that gives you psychic abilities,
Oh, fun.
and then so it's like unaware marketing is how you could put it, where sort of brand recognition. Where, for example, if I said if before any Spider-Man movie came out, or even before the newest Spider-Man movie came out, people are already aware of who Spider-Man is. They don't have to do as much marketing to get the Spider-Man brand and name into people's heads in their homes, because everyone's like, wow, a new Spider-Man movie? I know who Spider-Man is. I like Spider-Man. Let's go see it. Dune isn't the same way, where Dune is a very niche property, but it's like Blade Runner 2049, where for somehow Villeneuve got a massive budget for it. And so I'm curious. It was supposed to come out. I don't remember actually where, but it was supposed to come out. Did they have it on this list? They do not. It was supposed to come out. I want to say this year or next year, around October. Thank you. That was the original.
No, that's this new release date. Sorry, the original was November 20th.
Oh my lord, I'm gonna have to edit that out. I just got a messenger message. So yeah, so the original came out and nothing was around it. It was the ideal place for this movie to release, because it's a big sci-fi movie and the trailer could look interesting and pull people in without there being anything else in the theater. However, it's now being pushed to, what did you say?
Actually, it's December 18th. Yeah.
Yeah. So this, from what I recall, it's being pushed to somewhere where there's a Marvel movie coming out or something like that, and that's worrying because I think that's going to affect that movie's box office a lot.
Yeah. Also, the original I was looking up has nobody.
No, it doesn't.
Ever fucking
So
heard of it.
I just wanted to know, and to move on from that, I just wanted to know how movies. How do you? I think movies are really going to be affected by this release. I think there's some movies that are going to bomb that are not.
Yeah.
That should not have.
Quick interjection to bring it back to Dune.
Yes.
It was more than just Oscar Isaac. Okay, there was bigger people.
Oh no,
than
there's a massive amount of people.
Oscar
Yeah.
Isaac, Josh Brolin,
Yeah.
Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Zendaya. What else we got here? Jason Momoa, Javier Bardem,
Yep.
the man, the myth, the legend, and by the way, music by Hans Zimmer.
Yes.
So, good
so
hand.
this is a big movie, and I'm just concerned that there's going to be a lot of movies that fall under people's radar, more than usual. That are, I don't want another I don't want Dune to bomb again, and B, I don't want another big budget Villeneuve movie to bomb again, because Blade Runner 2049 it's a great movie and it was also like critically received very well, but no one saw it. I think it made about half of its budget back, I'm amazed that this director got another chance at a big budget sci-fi movie. It's shocking.
I'm gonna look
for someone that worked in a movie theater for years, my absolute lack and disinterest in the world of movies and television is just
that's why
astounding.
we can go into something a bit better then. So the MCU.
Wait, quick fact check.
Okay.
The budget was for Blade Runner was 150 to 185 million.
Yeah.
Box office was 260. Throw in marketing on top of that.
I was talking about marketing.
To about net even.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but it's not great.
It's not great.
I'm saying. It's not great, especially because you had like Ryan Gosling was in it, Harrison Ford was in it. They're not small names.
Dave Bautista again.
Dave Bautista was also in it. But moving on. By the way, if you bring me back one more time to something that I already talked about, move on. I'm replacing you.
Hey, that was a fact check. Okay, we can't.
I'm gonna send you into the timeout corner. I'm very curious about our favorite franchise, the MCU, which we all have slightly different opinions on, I'm sure, but that's neither here or there right now. The MCU is very reliant, especially now, on other movies, as we all know, to build up to each movie basically. So I'm curious how this is going to. As you saw, all the movies have been moved a year or more ahead. So I'm curious how stressed Marvel feels now, and Disney with the fact, like, for example, it's rumored that that Falcon and the Winter Soldier show that was coming out on Disney Plus, that was supposed to have something or sorry, Black Widow was supposed to have something that ties into that, and now that Black Widow has been delayed, Falcon and Winter Soldier also has to be delayed, which it seems like that's how all these movies are going. I'm curious how this is gonna. They seem to just be very stressed. It's not a good situation. I'm sure if like Kevin Feige is wringing his hands. I'm sure the man who created a series of almost 30 movies successfully is really worried about his brand integrity now.
Yeah,
But
they're probably really worried about like they no longer have their big money makers.
that is true. Yeah.
Making new stuff, and then they look over to the side at Luke and like, okay, well, if we did stuff outside of source material, how is some of our other like subdivisions of Disney doing? And then they look one way and they see over in the corner, they see Lucasfilm slowly on fire and dying and screaming in the corner, and they turn back and they go, shit, what are we gonna do?
It's an interesting situation to me.
Disney Cruise Lines 2.0.
There you go. Yeah. I'm also curious what you guys think of this new. It was touched on once with Artemis Fowl. In this list, at least, it was touched on with Artemis Fowl releasing on Disney Plus. There's a lot of movies now releasing on streaming, as opposed to coming out in theaters, and I'm curious how that's going to change the theater landscape. I honestly think that may.
Fuck theaters.
You're not wrong. Well, I don't know if I'd say fuck theaters. I think you mean the companies.
Yeah,
Because Disney is known for being massively like iron thumbed when it comes to they say, oh yeah, we want what I don't want to just say things, but they want a large percentage of the profit from the movies, and they also would love if every screen in every theater was playing one of their movies at any given time. Which
aggressively make a deal with theaters, because theaters have to pay for the rights, obviously, to show the movie, and so they somehow have made it so that when say like the original Avengers and stuff came out in the theaters that we were in, like we spent just as a single theater to run that for 8 weeks or so was just it was tens of millions of dollars just to be able to like have that license and be part of one of the theaters in the city.
And the thing is with that is I think it's very dangerous, especially for smaller movies and studios. Excuse me, because it's twofold, because you have the theaters, they know that Marvel movies are going to bring in the most money. So obviously they're going to put as many screens as they. Oh my god, I'm dying! Jesus Christ! As many screens as they possibly can, but that leaves, depending on where you are, that leaves like five to 10 screens to play another. Who knows how many movies, and 2 of those are going to be taken up by any movie starring The Rock at any given time. Yeah. And then you just have something like, I'm trying to think of Blade Runner 2049 is a great example. It was probably bullied out of showings. I don't want to say bullied out of showings as if Disney was actually took a screen from it, like literally, but it's
less profitable.
Yeah, it's less profitable, and I also don't know why I use Blade Runner 2049 as a small budget indie movie, because it's not. But something maybe like I'm supposed to be the one that knows movies, and I know nothing about anything now apparently. If I don't know, just a smaller movie, so something like you're not gonna know any of these movies I name, but like Ingrid Goes West, or like fucking Sicario, maybe even just smaller movies.
Yeah, I'll say Sicario. That's a good example.
I think it's really a pity, because you have everyone. I don't want to be that film nerd that's going on and on about cape shit movies, because don't get me wrong, I like Marvel movies. I like this stuff. And I go to theaters and see it most of the time. But I think the normal people, the normals, we're gonna avoid the other word, because I sound like an asshole when I say that. But normal people who rely on like marketing and whatnot to see movies, and don't go on the movies subreddit and see genuinely every movie that's going to be released in the next 10 years, like coming up, it's just, it's hard for smaller movies to get out there when they're being pushed into the peripherals by a company like Disney.
Yeah, hopefully we're gonna see. I'm hoping more the companies that I know one of us has worked for. Hopefully they take the bigger hits, and these companies who have just been like for the longest time, it's just super upcharged shit and like a terrible experience. Hopefully, what doesn't die is small individual theaters, the theaters where you can drink alcohol in, drive-in theaters. Hell, drive-in theaters are probably gonna make a fucking comeback after this. They already starting are because they can social distance right now. So I've seen a lot of examples of some drive-in theaters being open online. It's just like
drive-in theaters are massively popular right now, if I recall.
So it's probably going to bring that back of also to the comfortability of that being in your own car. On the downside, again, you have to have a car to go there. But
and what I was gonna say, I'm gonna tying this back to what I talked about with movies going directly to streaming. I think this is a bit of a double-edged sword because on one hand, you have smaller movies that maybe Netflix will give you a notification. Not that Netflix is good at advertising anything on their website, but Netflix will give you a notification saying, "Oh, don't forget this movie's this movie's basically being released in a week. Come to the premiere if you want." And then maybe movies that are smaller may get more hits that way. However, the other side is that theaters are going to be fucked. They're done.
Yeah.
Like they have no way to make money now. And if this going forward, I just want to finish this thought and you can go. Going forward, if this streaming direct to streaming service starts picking up steam, even after this quarantine is done, they may not go back into some studios. Just maybe like this is less profitable to go into theaters.
Yeah. So one of the big examples of that is something that had to be released online is Onward, the new Disney film. Now I don't think anyone was hyped for this film beforehand. Van Life, they threw Tom Holland and Chris Pratt in it, but like I don't think many people cared. But the fact that it was available on streaming and it was just a new thing to watch, really, and even though it didn't make back its budget, it was a budget of 160? No, 175 to 200 million, and it made back 103. But it made back 103 million while no one could go to theaters.
Exactly.
That was still a generally
and it's like when Bright came out and everyone Bright had these like shockingly high reviews for a movie of its quality from audience members, and I think that's because it's just the phenomena where you go, I wouldn't pay to see it in theaters. It's fucking on my screen though. Like I'm sitting there on Netflix and being like, oh, Will Smith with an orc, that looks kind of interesting. It's
I know who Will Smith is.
I know him.
He looked at me and he said,
He was. I saw him on YouTube.
All right, so sort of getting back to on topic with regards to economic impact, video games, life like that. And it was sort of you had noted that you don't think or know what the world and economy will look like in terms of buying, say, new systems and stuff like that. So I got some numbers here for you that might turn around your argument completely. So in America, and we can probably definitely include Canadians and other large countries in the stats, have spent in this last fiscal quarter alone, so that's January to March, $10.86 billion US, which is actually 9% increase, according to an industry analyst called the NPD Group. I have no idea who the hell they are, but they seem very reputable. And they were reported through Bloomberg as well. So what does this mean, really? It's so beginning of January 2020 to the end of March, over $9.58 billion was made up of game sales and in-game microtransactions, which was up 11% from last year. The mainstays being, of course, Animal Crossing's New Horizons, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Doom Eternal, Dragon Ball Z, or Z, Kakarot, and of course we have Fortnite, GTA 5, Minecraft, and sporting games like MLB and NBA 2K20.
Sorry, go.
Yeah, I was just saying. So surprisingly, actually, so you guys, you were talking about the expectation that's going to be a fall, perhaps in PS4.
I think that proves.
I agree with Ian. Where my first point I was going to make was I'm still amazed that GTA 5 is at the top of lists selling. In the year of our Lord 2020.
Nothing will ever stop that game.
It won't. My second point is that I agree with Ian, where I think people weren't aware. It's two things. I think people weren't aware of how bad this was going to be, because so many people were surprised that they were going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
And I also think that if games, because you're specifically talking about game sales, I think game sales will probably be fine, especially with Xbox and a PlayStation is talking about also still selling PS4 games. I think game sales will be fine because games aren't a huge commitment financially. They're expensive, but they're not a huge commitment. My point was I think the hardware is going to suffer.
But the hardware did sell better recently in the same quarter. Specifically, something like using the Switch as an example, the Switch sold out so fast that you cannot find it anywhere for under $1,000 because it's marked up.
Yeah, so I've got something on that. So there's strong growth in the sales of the Nintendo Switch hardware and software, which actually helped to offset the declines across other hardware platforms, leading the overall game hardware market to increase 2% in the last quarter to 773 million. So I think just because of the price point and the accessibility alone of the Switch and the Switch Lite, which you can play all the Switch games on, for like 199 Canadian or something like that.
But it has its own problems and it can't be used. So it's
Yeah.
it's not selling it anywhere because it has problems. But
Yeah.
the big thing is that was when people were told, "Hey, there's a pandemic. You're probably going to be you'll be at home for a month. Why don't you grab a Switch and play New Horizon that entire time?" And everything came out at the right time there. But now
it's still. I'm sorry. I'm just going to interrupt you in saying that it's still to this day. There are lists online and places that are updating daily on which stores in the US and stuff have in stock because they're still being bought out so quickly.
Because but that's also on top of Nintendo never making enough of them. So now people wanted to Switch to start this whole thing with. That's gonna be a massive different investment for after going through months of quarantine and people not being able to pay for many things, and then finally getting back into maybe things are gonna be open by holiday. Hopefully things have been fixed by then. But at the best case scenario, if things have been fixed, everyone's back at work, still people aren't going to immediately buy the PS5 Xbox One because like, okay, I need to start saving again. I wasted a lot of my savings during this time just on essentials alone.
I will say that I think I will concede that I think the current hardware is going to do fine. I think that people are, especially with the new hardware coming out, I think the PS4 and the Xbox One are gonna probably go down in price, and that's gonna cause people to buy more of them. My specific not worry, because I'm very worried for these multi-billion-dollar companies, but I toss and turn at night worrying what the president of Sony is doing with his life. But
God forbid.
I think that. And then the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are going to suffer. I don't know what Nintendo's doing. I'd like to point out that I didn't have Nintendo on my list because I forgot Nintendo existed.
Yeah.
Well,
I apologize for that.
For all the games that came out, Animal Crossing and stuff, it's just become. I mean, you could definitely, I think, chalk that up to the virtual lifestyle that you can have, especially when you're sitting at home and having no life.
But I think that my hypothesis that. I think the games are I think games are fine. I think the games, especially on the current gen consoles, I think they're fine. Because
eventually you have to make new games on only new consoles.
Exactly. I think it's a very weird, vague, gray area we're going to be in holiday 2020 when the next gen consoles come out, and who knows what's going to happen, because I don't know. Like, we may be, as everyone's favorite people on Reddit say, we're probably going to be mind controlled by like Bill Gates and the vaccine by holiday 2020. So they're probably going to make us buy the consoles anymore. Bill Gates will make me buy the Xbox Series X in holiday 2020.
See, I'll say that like I'm an Xbox person, obviously. I mean, like when you've had lunch with Sony executives, you tend to get Xbox instead. That's a joke. I mean, I did have lunch with certain Sony people, but yeah, I just know a lot of people that Sony has screwed over royally. So like and now we're seeing, not to get into it, but behind the scenes we're having recent leaks and like proof of Sony pushing their developers hard past points that really should be now regulated and mandated, because the dev industry is an unregulated, non-union market.
I honestly think that game studios are one of the worst working environments that exists in the 2020s. Not even Sony's game studios specifically.
Let's say AAA studios.
Yeah, AAA studios I think are the closest to like 1950s factory environments that we will ever get to in 2020. It's
Like-
madness to me.
Like, man, imagine having to go home with homework, and that homework is to just watch live leak videos
Okay, that's a lot.
24 hours a day. That's a job. I'm being facetious,
I
but
know. I know you are.
yeah, crunch time. Like I
gonna
do
get-
have. There's someone I know at work that used to work for Rockstar, and they're like, yeah, well, we got some big bonuses. It was
Rockstar's mad, yeah.
It's hell.
And I think I was gonna tell you about the bonuses and the leaks. No, we'll move on. I don't need to get into that right now. That'll turn into a whole thing.
bonuses just like when the game releases and they
I
get
know,
stuff.
yeah, but I was gonna say that I think no, I'm not gonna say anything. It's gonna turn the whole thing.
Yeah.
You continue, yeah.
I'm going to continue.
Yeah, continue.
Speaking on sort of getting into, we were talking about the need for new games. So newest game that kind of recently came out I want to talk about is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is actually going to be touted sort of as one of the release games, I believe, with the PS5 and the Series X.
Yeah.
Also going to be on the Stadia.
Awesome. Okay, can I interrupt about the Stadia for 1 second? It's genuinely a 10-second interlude. So I just got a PlayStation 4, and PS Now. I'm quite enjoying the concept of PS Now, because I don't know if do either of you know exactly what PS Now is?
Yeah. No.
Okay, so PS Now is basically they stream it. You can play it on your console or on your PC via the app, and they stream the game. It's like Stadia, where they stream the game to your PC and your console, and you play it. I have had no or very negligible, not even visible by the human eye or by my stupid ape eyes delay in my input. I am shocked. I'm baffled at how the Stadia can exist in the state it's in when we have something like PS Now that works fine.
Also, Xbox has had a similar program that can be used for recording, live streaming, and then watching your games from your computer, and that's been around for like 4 years or more.
It's madness
that
to
also
me.
works pretty well and works fine. And again, Stadia exists somehow.
So yes, it's on the Stadia and going to be released on the PC. Okay, so it was announced at the end of April 2020 with Ubisoft Montreal is actually going to be the main sort of. I don't know. Is Ubisoft actually based out of Montreal? I feel like
Ubisoft Montreal is the one, if I recall, that is quite prolific in what they're making. Yeah, I think Montreal is the one who made Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, they're mostly the Assassin's Creed. So Ashraf Ismail is the creative director for Valhalla. He was the grand director of AC Origins and Black Flag. Both of these are actually my personal favorites.
Was he not also on Revelations?
These are the. He could have very well been.
Because if continue that. I did hear something about him being on
every Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
game, but this is the.
Maybe it may have been the writer that I was hearing. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
But yeah, Valhalla's the first one where he's the full, I believe, creative director. I don't quote me on that, but he was one of the game directors beforehand. He's the mastermind, quote unquote, of the whole idea being Vikings this time around. He literally said in an interview, I liked Vikings as a kid and I wanted to make a Vikings video game. So he took the Assassin's Creed platform and did it. So he started actually doing it after Origins was released in 2017. That's when they started working on the game. So I don't really want to go into too much of the basic news. Everyone probably would have seen the trailer, and if you haven't, you can please go.
Before we go into that, I'm gonna do a fact check. The narrative director, it was the narrative director I was thinking of. So Darby McDevitt is the narrative director for this game. He was the lead writer for Revelations and Black Flag, and the co-writer of Unity. And
Gotcha.
And Ishmael is the, as you said, is the creative director, and he had previously led work on Origins of Black Flag. You were correct on that. I'm fact checking myself. That's
All right.
There you go.
I noted when it will be released, so it has an unknown release date at this point. They keep saying sort of holidays 2020 as well. So obviously that would go hand in hand with the release of the new systems and have something, I guess, on their store for when that happens. It will also be on the PS4 and the Xbox One. And they actually have this thing, at least for the Xbox at this point, where if you buy it for the Xbox One and you later get the Series X, you will be able to upgrade and play the game for free on the Series X.
Yes,
Not like that. That's not how it works specifically. It's not a different version. It's that it's the Xbox Play Anywhere. So if there's an Xbox game, they're just adding the Xbox Series X worded as a different console to that. So Xbox One with both the S, Xbox One X, the digital version, the original Xbox One, are all counted as one console. The Series X being a different one, and then PC being the third one. If you buy on any one of these three ones, and the game can be played on the other two, you get a copy on all three, and that's already happening with the Forza games, as an example. Sea of Thieves is another one, like their mainstay ones, and they're trying to expand that. So if you buy it on Xbox, you can still play it on your PC through the Windows Store specifically. So it's through those servers.
So it's interesting because this one will actually, through the Ubisoft website itself, their partner for PC platform is going to be Epic Games Store. It won't be Steam,
Interesting.
and it doesn't say anything about it. I would assume it would somehow get on the Microsoft Store, but they're going with Epic Games for the release for PC.
If they're doing the Xbox, if it's going to be able to play on all Xbox things, then it
So,
can
yeah.
also be through the Windows 10 store. Then.
People really need to. It surprised me when I first heard, because what was some of the first games that were on Epic that weren't a battle royale or multiplayer oriented games? Yeah, we had something like Borderlands 3 that was released. That was announced quite a while before Borderlands 3 came out, if I recall.
Yeah.
But I was shocked that the Epic Store had and it's just grown.
Oh yeah, you can
So
get
far
so many games.
it's madness.
It's crazy. You
But-
get free for life downloads from them. That's part of their marketing, I think. But like, you can get certain games that are just free for life from them every week or whatever.
There is a couple oof games though on that, like not games, but there's a bit of oof problems with the Epic Game Store. When you compare it to Steam, one of the big problems is that they do not have safe servers right now, and information is constantly getting leaked of people's like payment information and personal info. That's one of the big problems with them, and they are throwing more money at trying to get people to just be on Epic than developing a whole new store that hasn't had support for years upon years. This is a company who made a game that blew up so much, they had so much extra money, they said, we're going to make a store. So they're suffering from the problems of not. They're not studying Steam to see what people want as an alternative. So we'll see how that goes.
On the subject of studying Steam to see how it goes, I'm just shocked that no one else has been, because Steam is so high concept in terms of for what it does. You have the forums on Steam. You have that you can go through all of this in the Steam app. You have forums. You have guides that you can go to. You have communities, and they work like Steam works great. I have some issues with Steam. Sometimes it's just like the downloads are fucked a bit. It's mostly like download issues for me. But I think Steam is a great platform. Comparing it to something, for example, the PS4. PlayStation Store is just abysmal sometimes. Like I went to buy Spider-Man on that, and it is included with PS Now. And I said I don't want PS Now. I just want to buy Spider-Man on my console. On the PlayStation, it is still being sold. It's not just available in PS Now. On the PlayStation Store, you cannot buy Spider-Man. You have to go into the web browser on your computer or the PlayStation Store app to buy it for your account. It's madness.
I'm just looking up quick like interjections between the two of them. I'm not sure if anything's gonna be fixed. Some of these are older ones, but some of the things that the App Store seems to lack is cloud saves, user reviews, forums, mod distribution, item trading, library sorting, account sharing, streaming to other devices, broadcasting. Those last ones, obviously, Steam had to take and build over a long.
So the Epic Store, it's bare bones right now. Is being.
But then you also have the Epic Store. It looks like it currently doesn't have any Mac or Linux support. No user reviews, and then, like I said before, there is Chinese spyware, which has been demonstrably proven to steal information from
people. I will be honest, aside from that, it doesn't sound like much of a problem, purely because I think Steam, the Epic Store, I would say, is still in its infancy. And I think Steam in its infancy as well was not amazing.
Yeah, it has a problem.
Yeah.
But to come out of nowhere with something and keep saying, we're going to destroy Steam and paying off people to come to your store.
I don't think anyone's going to destroy Steam.
It's not going to destroy Steam.
But not by any means. I think Epic Games, the Epic Games Store, is going to be the hardiest competitor for Steam, because Origin and Uplay are just they're F tier.
oof,
Low.
they're
They're
bottom
low.
of the.
You use them to play like 2 games that you want to play, and that's it. Like you don't actually.
You always buy Ubisoft without fail. You will always buy things through Steam, and then Uplay comes up, and it's never a moment that you love when you play a game. If you see that Uplay logo, you get that game. Your feelings go down.
Underdog here, you know who is decent with these things right now? I'd say is the perfect middle ground of like this is par, this is all the minimums you need to have. The Windows Store. It's got reviews. It's got most basic things.
Windows Store's a bit clunky. I kind of hate the UI, but it's functional.
Windows 10 UI because everything has to be the same Windows.
It's functional.
It's got gaming. It's got entertainment.
It's got a game that you buy it, and you can.
Yeah, and you can see reviews of it. You can see examples of the game. It'll tell you like basic information. That's the minimum. So that's going to be the middle right there. Is where the judge thinks. Steam above that. Windows Store, it's a store. It works like a store.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So moving on here. Some fresh news from Ubisoft on Valhalla, going back to the game. And it just came out less than 24 hours ago. That actually, and speaking of hardware, on the Xbox Series X, it won't be running at 60 FPS. It will be running at 30 FPS at 4K resolution. Their biggest focus, and it seems that it'll be like this for everything except for maybe PC. They're focusing on just having a higher resolution game rather than having a smoother.
Yeah, which is
so that is a big console thing. Consoles have always been I'd sacrifice frame rate for
resolution. Being able to play it on
like fidelity, graphical fidelity. I'll sacrifice frame rate for graphical fidelity.
I guess I will say it's not a first-person shooter, so it makes sense.
Something like that can be. You have certain games that you need 60 frames on. Like you have things like Dark Souls or character action games like Devil May Cry, which you need those extra frames on for the response times. Exactly, yeah. But I think I hate that we're going into the 8th generation of consoles, and it's been 2 console generations. I'm gonna start with the PlayStation 3 and the 360 because PS2 games are a bit different. They didn't even have graphical fidelity really, so I'm half joking on that because some PS2 games did look quite good, but that era at least. But it's shocking that we've gone through 2 generations and we still have. We can cap at 30 frames. I don't know. I think it's just. I know 4K is kind of the new standard. I would say, if I'm I'm correct in that.
Was that things are going to load faster and whatnot. So
I don't know. I'm a frame rate guy. I will turn down my graphics for frame rate, so that may just be me.
So yes, that was their most recent news on the game, but I don't know if we'll see that in other video games. There'll be the hardware will be good enough to do that for some games, but I think just because of the world and the graphics.
Massive England. They want landscapes with like beautiful like sunsets and stuff. They don't.
They're not trying to pull a Breath of the Wild on the Switch, where if you're looking around, it's just an absolute laggy net.
God, can you imagine? I can't fathom trying to play something more than Breath of the Wild on the Switch. The Witcher 3 has been ported to Switch, and it's absolutely mad.
I have not seen gameplay of it, but I'm scared.
I don't know if it's out yet, but can you imagine playing The Witcher 3 on the handheld part of the Switch?
That'd be an oof. Let me see if it's capable.
So something interesting in the press releases around Valhalla and talking interviews is actually they're trying to, noting it back to other Assassin's Creed games, they're actually trying to distance it themselves just by the way like their wording, and I think their marketing is that they're distancing themselves from the previous games in the sense actually of map size and game and story length. And actually what they're trying to kind of pull is an Odyssey type thing where they integrate a lot of mythos history as we kind of know it and the livable experience.
I did hear that they were going to it was quoted that they were going to do what Odyssey did with the Nordic. Do what Odyssey did with the Greek gods with the Nordic mythology and try to integrate it into the Assassin's Creed lore smoothly.
Yeah. And then
I'm in on that. I think this is a good conversation that we may not go on long for, but people are very pissy about what Odyssey did to the Assassin's Creed lore, and I don't agree because I stopped giving a shit about. I'm sure this is a me thing, but I stopped giving a shit about the Assassin's Creed lore, especially the modern day stuff. Since I don't even know.
not.
The problem with Odyssey was that they tried bringing it back. So first Odyssey's like, yeah, we're kind of just gonna ignore the future stuff, and everyone said, all right, yeah, history RPG meme. This is what everyone wants, and then they're like, okay, but then like we're gonna force you to have a kid, so that way like we can connect to Bloodline, even though we stated at the beginning of this game Bloodline is completely irrelevant again. And then they went back on that, and they made the second DLC. Then they're like, okay, now we're gonna focus more on the future character. It's like, no, just give us history meme. That's it. Just give us history meme.
I know. I think Ubisoft is desperately clinging to the lore side of this in the future, because I don't know what this modern day, because we've had 2 games with Layla, and I don't know what it's building to, because the Desmond, not quadrilogy is what is that what quintilogy is that 5? That's 5.
Desmond Adventure.
Yeah. So the Desmond saga was building up. I think that at least from the second game, if not the first, to the, and I could be completely wrong on that, but it felt like I was building up in the last games to the 2012 sort of parallel incident that they made where Ubisoft took that whole the Mayan calendar ending in 2012 and turned it into the fact that the world was going to end, and the Assassins and the Templars were trying to, I don't quite remember it, but it was building up to that, and that they had to stop the Templars because of that, and stop the Isu, not known as the Isu back then, but the Isu because of that. And I don't feel like Layla has anything.
No, she just got insane for a bit and killed someone,
it's very strange. It's very strange to me.
Yeah. So Ubisoft. So yeah, speaking of sort of the gameplay and going back, Ubisoft's head of communications for the Middle East, Malik Tefaha, has so he stated that the game won't be the longest or largest in the series. But what they're trying to do is, and they're more concerned about providing a rich experience to players. So there's a lot more to discover and do in Valhalla. So, for example, you'll have in England, you can explore the 4 kingdoms of Northumbria, East Anglia, Mercia, and Wessex. And within these regions, you can go to London, Winchester, Jorvik, or York, and you can find towns, villages, hamlets, locations, etc. So it's they're taking it to almost like a micro historical detail rather than focusing on
very much like Odyssey, where it's history RPG meme.
Yeah,
I just want to say that they picked a very weird time though, because usually they go for things that haven't been explored, but this is a time.
But like
no. But here's the thing: out of all Vikings, they chose specifically under, like we see in the trailer, it's Alfred. Yeah, Alfred the Wise, and it's the unification of England against the Vikings. But that's a very weird time to pick, because that's something that already has a massive show about it, which is Last Kingdom. Usually they stay away from something that's already been shown off. So this is something that people already kind of know the history of, and may and this is a bit of controversy now, is that they're clearly showing that Alfred is being manipulated by a group who we're going to refer to as the Knights Templar for now, whether they turn out to be or like another cult or something like that.
I think they will be the Templars, because we're getting this game is set
quite close to. We're getting the Templars back. We're probably getting everything.
Yeah, this game is set quite close to Assassin's Creed 1.
Yeah.
So this is 870 or something like that? 876 or something?
Century, late 9th century.
Yep.
Yeah. So then they're pushing Alfred like, oh, he's going to be oppressive and control these guys, which is a bit alt history, because this was somebody who was a bit more diplomatic.
I don't think Alfred's going to be the villain. I think it is going to turn because to be fair, we've seen one very vague story trailer so far. I don't think Alfred is going to turn out to be the issue. I think the Templars themselves will be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then
will just be part of it, I guess, like the warring between.
And I would not be surprised if there's something about the Vikings not being great either.
Yeah, that's what, because people are saying like it looks like they're going to be saying that, like, oh look, our Vikings are so great, and there totally wasn't any raping and pillaging, in which there's records.
They were fucking awful.
Yeah.
But
the Vikings were the invaders.
I think what they're doing around it is that it looks like, because you're going to be the head of a clan of Vikings, and so your village is specifically like from Norway, from where it looks like not much of the invasion stuff is coming from, and you just kind of like settle in, like, oh, we're just settling a better place away from the things. It looks like you're kind of trying to be completely irrelevant from the main fight happening between the Danes and the early English, the Anglos. So they might do that. They might say like you're kind of to the side, and again they might pull from Last Kingdom, which is a same time period about a Viking guy, and being like, oh, this is an alt history character surrounded by real history characters, and like they just kind of they're not setting for the stars. They just are trying to get their single castle back. So it's just if they focus on a small story in a big environment, it should probably still work out. Like again, look at Odyssey. You're not trying to become the ruler of Greece. You're just trying to get your family back. That's the whole plot of the game.
I think so far I don't have a lot of judgments to give for what the story looks like because I don't have enough of it to go on.
No, I don't really care about the that's part of it. Like there's not enough about the story apart from what you can see. So I really want to go into like what they interviewed about was a lot of the gameplay mechanics.
Yeah.
They kind of kept a lot of hush hush on the story, but I want to talk about something I think we all love and can say is that character creation, character customization.
I'm very excited for that.
We saw some really fucking great shit from Odyssey. So Ismail said that there will be quite a various amount of hairstyles, beard styles.
That is what I'm excited for. Yes.
Yeah, so you can sport tattoos, cover yourself with war paint. As for gear, they're broken up into gear pieces.
What? Shields?
Pardon me?
Shields? I want to.
Shields have been confirmed if I recall.
I'm happy.
Yeah, so you can. So it's basically very similar to Odyssey, also where you can like put skins over top of ugly-looking armor, so it can look a certain way.
Since Odyssey has come out, I have wanted every game that has different armor, like mechanics where you put on different armor and weapons to have that.
Yeah. So I frankly could not be happier for that. So another gaming aspect, and I think Ian that you would love this just from various games that you've played. They do flighting. So like, oh fuck yeah, bud, I'm excited for this shittery. Ismail revealed that there's a side activity in the game that you'll do called flighting, which is a contest that consists of exchanging rhyming insults in between two parties. So, it's a Viking rap battle. So it's prevalent in Norse literature, like with gods and Odin and Thor facing off in their battle of words. So flighting was something we found in our research, says Ismail. It was something that was done during this time period in the 9th century on the north side, so the Viking side, but also done on the Saxon side in England in mead halls for fun and enjoyment. So flighting takes skill since it's supposed to be quick-witted and poetic, which turned out to be a great fit for something like Valhalla.
Quick time event rap battles. This is what I'm ready for.
So
great.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna end up being a bigger part of people's videos on this than.
This better be
a meme.
This game needs to be RPG. Norse meme. That's all it needs to be.
There is going to be so many Twitter videos of people, depending on how the flighting comes out. There's going to be so many Twitter videos of people's flight battles.
Oh yeah, for
flighting.
Sure.
Or TikToks.
So I've hyped the game up. I want to talk like sort of playability. So is it multiplayer? So according to the Washington Post, thank you Amazon, article with an interview with Ismail, they said that. The last time that a multiplayer game was entered into the Assassin's Creed line, that was Assassin's Creed Unity, where you can team up in online co-op. Valhalla will have some sort of online component. They're not sure what it actually is, but multiplayer is not part of Ubisoft Montreal's vision for the game. So, according to Ismail, it'll be a single-player game with online components. Which, I mean, for a game of that size and depth and everything, I can see it. It's annoying. I prefer playing those kind of games with friends, and especially because there'll be other characters, I'm assuming, that are consistent throughout the game that they could do that. But anyway, so
I'm fine with it being single player. Like again, there was no need during playing. Like I played Odyssey to the end. I've pretty much almost 100% of that game, other than like DLC stuff.
Okay, I didn't go that far.
But I at no point was I like, this would be fun with multiplayer. Sometimes I just went, man, they really didn't need to nerf the super kick because this is a single player game. I wanted to kick bosses off cliffs.
Exactly. So, and the last bit of a little bit hot goss of the game was actually around its release date. Yeah, the thesis was there was in Italy, on Amazon Italy,
Fuck.
There was a release posting of the game for Valhalla, and they indicated that the game would actually be released October 15th of this year, 2020.
That makes sense.
Um,
They usually fall around that date.
Yeah, so it would you think like maybe right before the next consoles come out, so people still buy it for the Xbox One, PS4, whatever. But so basically, I think the entire October leak thing, and you guys like we talked about it with a little bit with the PS5 and stuff. Like it seems that October has been like the leak date for a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think the original there were rumors that the PS5 was going to have an October release, which I think Sony Japan quashed later on. So like I think that sort of fueled the fire.
Well,
But
looking
yeah,
at
it was on Amazon Italy, like the release date for the video game. Like, when you could pre-order it.
I don't know if you guys are aware of the different Amazon Italy and Amazon France. Amazon France is notorious for leaking things. I don't know if you're aware of that, but every time they've leaked something, it's been right.
Yeah. So just wait, quick interjection with dates. So also the last two previous Assassin's Creed games have also been big October releases just before holiday season. You've got Origins on October 27th, 2017, and the next year you got October 5th, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, if, that was on Amazon
So
Italy. So
It's
Amazon
probably
Italy spilling the tea.
Let's see.
but I know, right? The thing is, if it comes out that day, my wedding anniversary is on the 19th of October. I can't be buying this game, but I can't be playing it because I'm going to be playing it during my anniversary weekend, and it's not going to be.
Yeah, but maybe Alex is quite interested in history, so maybe
you sit on the couch, play it together. Yeah.
Just he'll be like, that seems factually inaccurate, and you're just going around like just stabbing
that
people.
voice you gave for him was like I just saw his face.
I didn't even do a voice.
No, but just the cadence you had there, that is factually
That seems
inaccurate.
factually inaccurate.
Just like the pause.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, well I think I told you guys, but when I played Odyssey and I was using the correct pronunciation of the Greek accent for people's names. He studied ancient Greek and Roman culture, and he has a degree in it. So, and he read all of these books. So he's like, you can't actually, as an English white person, say these names like this. You have to use academically. They use the anglicized names.
Yes.
So like, you don't use the accent. You just say it like how it would be in
From
English.
what I've heard as well, ancient Greek sounds so much different than modern Greek. Like modern Greeks are if you say something to them in ancient Greece, they'll be like, "That sounds disgusting. Don't ever talk to me like that again."
One of the oldest studied cultures that we talk about. There's gonna be some differences.
Yeah.
And additionally, there's always gonna be things that have to change, both
Over
for gameplay.
of language growth. Yeah, I think there's going to be some differences.
Does language grow?
No, it's the same.
I
Actually,
thought I could still use gay to describe something as inadequate or dumb.
Inadequate. I thought gay was happy. Or was
No,
that before
no,
that?
you mean that was a joke about how you're in grade 9 and you're 13
Oh,
and you say,
Okay.
"Whoa, that's gay, dude," or like, "Wow."
I would even go to the more modern
No.
version of how
No,
bad,
no,
like
no, no,
as
no,
it using
no.
it as a slur. It's fine. Don't worry about me.
It's
Right.
just the early 2000s and the early 2010s were like early 2000 to 2010 was a wild time. We just had people. You could just say things. And people were like, "That's okay. That's fine."
Yeah, you can say.
You could
things
just say,
like that.
"Oh my god, like don't be so gay, dude." Like your friend takes your snapback hat and throws it into a tree, and you'd be like, "Yo, what the fuck? That was hella gay, dude." And then it was okay. And now we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, but we also thought Hot Topic was cool at that time.
It was a hell of a time.
We
to
didn't
be
have
alive.
Both of mine are long ones, so I'll
Okay,
save
both
them.
use a long one. That was my fault then. We'll be fine then. We'll save them. So Ian doesn't get to talk. I'm actually just gonna cut all of your parts out, and it'll just be me and Jean-Luc talking in this first episode. And we'll introduce you next episode as a new host, and it'll be a lot cleaner and smoother. So
Oh yeah, definitely when you're talking to Ian for that first 40 minutes.
I'll
and it's just
deep
you
fake
talking to yourself.
your voice into it.
Nice.
Deep fake John's voice into it. Okay, so let's move on to the last segment, the beautiful segment, the segment where you may want to just bring on a snack and just hang out. So what have you guys been playing? What have you guys been reading? What have you guys been? Well, I know we don't read because we don't have the brains for it. But what have you
I've
been
reading
what,
my HR textbook.
what media have you been taking in? What would you recommend? Who would like to go
Technically,
first?
technically, you guys have been playing without me, so yours is gonna be a conjoined thing.
Okay, well, that we didn't need to start with that kind of negativity in
Okay,
this,
well,
but here we are.
I'm speaking of negativity. I don't know. I was trying to make a joke.
I've been
but,
playing Destiny too. I'm kidding. Destiny.
I've been playing Destiny too.
Destiny 2's fine. It's fine.
Is it-
Don't message me saying that.
No,
2 is bad.
Destiny 2 has its problems, but I'm still having fun just by myself in that. So Destiny 2, I've just been playing some Forza. I always play Forza because it's like cars. And then I somehow I got back into Halo because Halo 2 came out for PC. Doesn't work, but Halo 2 is out for PC.
That'll be for next time.
That'll be for next time.
That's
We'll
a
discuss.
sneak peek.
I'm gonna be discussing 3 for 3 and seeing if it gets fixed in the week leading up till next week. So
Ian is going first next time because he didn't get to talk at all. Well, he got to talk a lot, but he didn't get to talk about what he held near and dear to his heart.
anyways, you guys have been back to Tamriel.
We have been back to Tamriel. I have before
We
this
have
I was playing much Skyrim. I have not played a Bethesda game for an extended period of time for 5 years at this point because
And for good reason.
Bethesda games bore me to tears occasionally, but Skyrim has called out to me with many mods. I played on PC, and I've put many hours into it already. And I needed some. Me and Jean-Luc I've played games together on PC for years now, and I would say a decade probably at this point.
Oh, easy.
And so we wanted to. I wanted a bit more of that Elder Scrolls flavor, so we both bought Elder Scrolls Online, and I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, the graphics are to be, they're
To be determined. They're to be determined.
To be determined, not even desired, just determined.
That came out in
2014.
Fucking clickety clack keyboard there.
Hey, mechanical keyboard. Yeah, 2014.
Why are you so much louder for me now?
Me?
Yes, let me just turn you down a bit.
I don't know. I kind of came back to the thing, and I just.
Anyways, there we go.
Yeah,
Elder Scrolls Online is. I think from what I've played of other MMOs, it's a bit more involved. I actually feel like I know. I could pay attention to a quest line and know what's happening and have a story being told to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it does suffer a lot from I stop giving a shit about anything and just start skipping through word boxes.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine. It's just like Destiny. I would play it. It's very easy to play. I think I spent 2 hours blacksmithing once, which I don't know what that says about me as a person.
No, that does. See, I had that game when it came out 2014. No, 2015, because when it came out for the consoles, and everything was kind of fixed by that point, because first year was like one of the worst releases of the game for a while. Yeah. And yeah, you got it's a good meme. I managed to get through both Ebonheart, Daggerfall, and then I'm like halfway through the elf thing, because you can actually go to those places afterwards.
You can. Somerset is to be bought, if I recall.
That's different. So that's the DLC stuff. So Somerset, Orsmere,
and
the Thieves Guild, and Dark Brotherhood DLCs.
Elsewhere also has a DLC, has a pack now.
Yeah. Alternatively, if you just want to pound through them in the over the course of 3 months, you could just get that Elder Scrolls subscription for like
you
3
could,
months,
yes. Which is true.
What I did.
I think that's an interesting dynamic they have for that. But Elder Scrolls is fine. Is my definition of that. What else have you been playing? Because I don't want to steal this part from you. It's still on. The spotlight is on you still. What have you? It doesn't even have to be playing. What are we consuming? What media have we brought into our eyeballs to suck up into our brains?
He's been playing Animal Crossing.
That is true.
I played Animal Crossing, got it, and the remake of Mystery Dungeon for what was it, Red Rescue Team? Yeah, so they made the DX, I think is what it's called. So I was obviously, I almost completed the game. I still can't remember what it's called.
Yeah. Who's your favorite villager right now?
I don't really have a favorite one because they're all kind of annoying. I have a lot of jocks for some reason, and then I've got like a few non-binary people that don't have a personality. Like at least
What does that mean? I've got a few non-binary.
like they like like that's the whole point of the game is like there's no assigned gender like if they don't need to. Like there are some characters that just don't seem to really have a gender. That's whatever, but they're so fucking boring. They're literally like they're worse than the Animal Crossing characters from the original GameCube version, to the point that like I don't want I don't they're the people that I don't care about. I have a really ugly purple toad woman that I'm trying to get rid of, so I keep hitting her with a net. It's great.
What the fuck?
You hit them with nets, and then eventually they don't like you, and they don't like the island, and then they have little, and then they talk to you, and they're like, "I feel like I should like skedaddle on out of here. You feel me, Tukey?" And then I'm like, "Okay."
There's a cat named Raymond that everyone is obsessed over, and there's a illegal slave trade of Raymonds, and people charging money just to come to.
Oh, don't get me started.
Insane.
There's so many websites where you can go and like pay. Well, you can pay real money, but there's also like trading websites where people will trade rare items you get in the game for villagers. So you can go over and like you can try to get the villager over to your village and stuff like that, and like have them move there. And like there's just so much shit. There's the stock market website where you can go and sell all of your white turnips or whatever for like amazing amounts of money, because you can go to somebody's island and like there's wait times. People get on wait lists where like they wait hours to have their spot to go into somebody's island to sell their fucking turnips for like 500 gold or whatever bells. Sorry, a fucking piece. I'm looking at Undermine, which is also another game I'm playing, which is like gold came to mind. So just I don't really consume. I don't consume TV at this moment. So.
When people don't have access to real stock trading suddenly because the whole economy collapses, man, does an economy pop up on on Animal Crossing?
So I have like I said, I just recently got a PlayStation. So I have been I've just been kind of going around PlayStation Now and seeing what I can bring. But fun announcement. I don't know if this is new or not, but if anyone's unaware, the first two, can you stop talking? The first two Infamous games are on PlayStation Now, which is good because Sony refuses to to ask Sucker Punch to remaster these two fucking games for the next generation. So I've been playing Infamous 1 a lot, which is, it's just fun. It makes me happy inside to kick people off buildings and electrocute them until their skulls pop. But I watched, since I'm the only one that apparently watches things now, I was watching. I was over at my family's place last night. We had a gathering. I know I'm gonna spread disease, but I was watching Knives Out. We watched Knives Out. I finally watched that. Enjoyable. It was an enjoyable movie. I laughed. I didn't cry. I maybe cried because I laughed, but I didn't cry out of pure desperate sadness. But it was Daniel Craig. It surprised me because I thought Daniel Craig was going to be the main character in that. I won't spoil anything about it, but I would recommend it if you want something a bit. It was different than what I usually see in 2020. It was almost like a spiritual remake of Clue.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
It was a very interesting movie. Chris Evans was very funny in it. I enjoyed him immensely.
I recommend watching the old Clue just because it's
that is true as well. Yes, watch the old Clue. It's a good movie. I'm also watching NBC's Hannibal, which is I enjoyed the first two seasons a lot, and now the third season I have 8 episodes left, and I'm struggling to get through it because I could have cut 3 episodes of content out of the season so far, and I've watched 5 of them because I liked the kind of weird art house vibe it had for the first 2 seasons, but now I swear to God there's 30 minutes of like things breaking artfully and liquid splashing every episode, and I'm like, this can stop now. I need to know where this is going, please.
On a point about shows, though, I did watch a show recently.
Was it Beastars?
And I never watched it. Well, actually, we did watch Beastars.
Watch Beastars. It's good.
But I did. Me and I won't say
anyone out there, watch Beastars.
It's good stuff. But more importantly, I watched season 7, the recently released and finished season 7
of Game of Thrones
of the Clone Wars, and holy shit, the end of it, I'll admit, made me cry a bit. And it's the last episode alone is better than everything Disney has made about Star Wars except for The Mandalorian, all combined. It's better. Just that last episode, it fucking hits you where you don't want to be hit,
Hits you
and
different.
it is oof. It's you feel harm inside your heart is what you feel.
I think.
And yeah, it was sad that it's finally brought everything to an end and caught up to the rest of the universe, and it's woof.
And I think, speaking of bringing things to the end, I think that's a very poignant time to say goodbye to this as I said, maiden voyage into this sea of shit that we've been talking about.
Let's see if we make it to New York or not, or if there was an iceberg ahead.
Is that a Titanic joke?
Okay.
Jean-Luc, any final words?
Thank you all so much for listening to our bullshit.
We will be on whatever hopefully whatever platform you watch podcasts on.
them.
If Spotify, we will go on YouTube. Apple Podcast should be. Hopefully, we can get on a bunch of other things. I know some podcast sites are a bit like finicky about what they let on, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
But
we're gonna try to be
we'll
in
suss
your
out.
houses,
We'll be in your
in your
houses, we'll be in
ear,
your ears. Hopefully,
your
you
Chrysler.
fall asleep in your Beamer,
Chrysler?
in your Prius. If you turn on your
Your
mid 2000s Prius, you will hear us coming out of your exhaust pipe.
No, that's us. We're in the trunk. We have knives. We're adept. You better watch out.
Shockingly adept with knives. I hope next time you tune in to hear our succulent tones in your ears.
Oh yeah, I'm sure our voices sound so fucking great.
Have
and
a beautiful day.
Through their mid 2000s.
I'm telling people to have a beautiful day. Okay.
They should have one, but
Great.
it's not dependent on our wishes.
Have one. I love you all. I don't know you, but I love you. Please
Please come back next time.
Please come back. Goodbye.
Yes, please.